Having a good day, good afternoon. I hope you are safe and well as we have some very wintry weather, some historic snow here in our great state, the Bluegrass, a state that I was born and raised in a town where they make Corvettes, very close to the longest cave system in the world. Anybody know where I was born and raised? Bowling Green, Kentucky, and from there I've moved all over the place, from Wyoming to Colorado to Nebraska, and found my way back to the greatest state in the Union, right? This place we call Kentucky. I've lived in Paducah, Kentucky, and now I call Lexington, Kentucky home. I graduated from a college known for a big red blob, Big Red. Anybody know what college that is? Western Kentucky University, the only college in our state to offer a degree in meteorology. So my science background is weather. I attempt to predict the weather, used to on television stations across America, but I've settled in on a station called WKYT. It just started there in August, but I've worked at every television market in our state, from Hazard, Kentucky, to Bowling Green, to Paducah, to Henderson, Kentucky, to Louisville, Kentucky, to right here in Lexington, Kentucky, doing not only mind-blowing science, but predicting the weather and covering the wild weather that we experience each and every day in our state. Everything from the Mayfield tornadoes to the floods in eastern Kentucky. I've been there in the middle of it all, helping tell the stories of the greatest citizens here in our great state. Because, you know, the weather continues to change, our climate continues to change, and we consistently hear from those in our great state that, you know, it's just because of hot weather. No, what a lot of people don't understand is that the extreme cold in the winter is a direct result of climate change as well, in addition to the heat that we experience in the summertime. We are going to do some pretty cool science experiments that's going to help you realize how we are not good caretakers of our environment. Everything from styrofoam cups to a giant diaper genie bag to making streamers soar through the air to turning a bottle of water upside down above someone's head as we celebrate 50 years of the Clean Water Act, and hopefully no one will get clean water on their head if the science works. And it does 90% of the time in this case. So lots of cool, mind-blowing science experiments. We will end on the fire rocket. There's a small chance that one of you might catch on. No, you won't catch on fire. But I do these science experiments in classrooms across our great state. I have been to every single county, traveling hundreds of miles, exposing more than 1 million kids across the world, everywhere from Germany to Honduras to right here in our state, with some hands-on science, either libraries or churches or schools doing cool science here in our state. When it comes to these experiments, although you're not kids, I still have to remind you, do not eat or drink your science experiment, have an adult around, and wear the appropriate safety gear. Everybody good with those rules? Yeah, don't forget to follow me on social. Oh, it's disappeared. But you will find it up there on Facebook as well as Twitter, KY Weather Lab. Be sure to follow it. And also Hooked on Science on Facebook. I always post my adventures across the state of Kentucky there and across the United States and the world. So be sure to follow it. You'll get weather updates, mainly for Kentucky, there at KY Weather Lab. Make sure you like it, follow it, all that good stuff. I'll be giving away a copy of my new book called Big Science Experiments for Little Kids. It came out last fall. My newest book, the next one, will be out next fall, and it has to do with weather and all the weather questions I've received since doing my first television broadcast in Hopkinsville, Kentucky on w.k.a.g. in 1999. Since then, TV's changed a lot. We went from green screens to big giant monitor walls behind us to the forecasting models have changed drastically. The data that we use to give you an accurate forecast has changed, and so on. We have the Kentucky Mesonet now, right? To help us across our state predict the weather and get real weather data information. My time's going to run out fast, and I want to make sure we get to as many of these experiments that we can. Microplastics continue to pollute not only our state, but the world. It is estimated that you and I will gobble down about 1/2 pound of plastic each and every year. And where do we get that plastic? In our water. So you and I both know we have evolved to use a lot of plastic. Plastic cups, plastic bowls, the list goes on. And when we break that plastic down to tiny pieces, so how tiny does it have to be in order to be a microplastic? It has to be the size of a circle on a Lego. Once it's that circle, that's a microplastic. It gets in our waterways. Kentucky Lake has reports of microplastics in it. Our lakes, our rivers, our streams have plastic in it. It gets in the animals, it gets in the fish we eat, and we gobble down, again, about 1/2 pound of plastic each and every year. What does it do to us? We don't really know just yet. Could it be causing us to have more intestinal issues over the years? Either way it goes, we need to become better stewards of our waters and streamways and all that good stuff and keep that plastic out. So, speaking of plastic, I have something up here. It's called a diaper genie bag. What do you do with the diaper genie bag? No, my 4 kids, which are 19, 18, 15, and 13, we never use this at our house. But you put poopy diapers in it, right? Oh, wait a minute, you're eating. Sorry about that. I will need a helper here in just a few seconds, but this is about 23 rulers long. A lot of plastic. A lot of this goes into the trash each and every day here in the Commonwealth and all across the world. But it's 23 rulers long. That is the average length of an adult's small intestine. So we start learning about energy, which you're learning more about here now in Kentucky in the 4th grade. That's a big test year in the state. We learn that energy cannot be created and it can't be destroyed. We talk about renewable and non-renewable energy. Then we master it by middle school and high school. But we also learn that we have internal and external parts, and that all of that works together to help us do the things that we do each and every day. I need a helper. Let's see, I'm looking for someone who's trying to avoid me right now. This guy in the checkered blue shirt, right over here. Come on up. Tell us about yourself. As you come up, you'll have to yell a little bit until you get a little bit closer. What part of the state of Kentucky are you from?
I'm actually from Boston, Massachusetts.
I'm
an intern at the EEC. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, you're going to have to make a transition to the great estate.
Yeah, I live in Lexington. I'm a student at UK.
Okay.
Graduating this December.
Congratulations.
I'm an intern in the Division of Enforcement.
Okay, awesome.
My great bosses, Philip, Natalie.
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell us today? No? How about you hold that for me?
Okay.
There we go. I'm going to go this way. 23 rulers is the average length of an adult's small intestine and the average length of a T-Rex right here. Very long, right? Large intestine must be longer, right? No, they call them large because they're wider. Small intestine are the longest. So, how many breaths, and no jokes, just because I'm a meteorologist doesn't mean I'm full of hot air. How many breaths will it take me to blow this up? 1? You really think I am full of hot air, right, sir? Anybody else have a different hypothesis? Who says 3/4 of 175? How about 1/4 of 125? I think I can do it in 5 breaths. Let's line up each other. What was your name again, sir? Benjamin, let's line up so that we are parallel to each other and directly across. Pull it tight like a clothesline. I'm going to do this in 5 breaths. I'm going to use something called Bernoulli's principle. We're going to have plastic floating above your head. Try not to eat it. We don't need you to have more than 1/2 pound of trash in your tummy any more than what you have to have, right? So 5 breaths of air. Bernoulli's principle says the faster the flow of air, the lower the pressure. So a fast flow of air is going to go in, a low pressure system forms inside, high pressure on the outside pushes my breath in. Let's make it easy. Ruler between my mouth and the back. As my breath goes in, it pulls more air in with it. Let's see here if I can do this. 1, 5. And there we go. You may let go, Benjamin. There we go. Sorry about that, sir. So, giant bag. We produce a lot of plastic, a lot of trash. A lot of this plastic ends up in our streams as it breaks down to smaller pieces. Remember, in order for it to be a microplastic, it has to be the size of a circle. Hey, how are you, sir? Of a Lego. But you'll notice how we're making this float up above your head. Plastic that we don't need. Diapers. Wow, we didn't have those until what, the 70s, 80s? That's really piled up in landfills, hasn't it? We used to use cloth diapers a long time ago. Okay, there it goes. And hopefully it won't fall on anyone's lunch. If it does, just don't eat it, okay? There it goes right there. Pretty cool science experiment. Helps us better understand about the microplastics in the world that we live in. Thank you, Benjamin. Give Benjamin a hand of applause. He did a fantastic job. How many of you have drank from a styrofoam cup before in your life? So all hands should be going up. Yeah, they're very bad for the environment. You know how long it takes to decompose in the fields that we throw trash into? 500 years. 1 styrofoam cup. So bad for the environment. And we use in the United States about 25 million pounds of those things a year. So they're not so good at all. I have a giant stack of 60 cups there. We're about to put them on top of each other. As I said, it takes a long time for them to decompose in the environment. But I'm going to speed up that process by using something that you might use to remove fingernail polish from your fingernails. It's called acetone. It's not good for the environment either, by the way. But what we're going to do is dissolve those. Those styrofoam cups are made of tiny pieces. The smallest unit of matter is an atom. You put them together, you get molecules. So you get these chains that are linking together to create those styrofoam cups that are there. And what we're going to do is take those chains and break them. And we break them by putting them into this container of acetone. And as we do, you will notice how it breaks it down quickly. It'll dissolve those cups almost instantly. 60 cups in the air. Anybody want to come up and help me dissolve 60 cups? I mean, we have, 2 hours here, right? Okay, never mind. My time's already running out. Let's see. I'm going to pick another helper. We picked a guy. Let's pick a lady now. How about her? I don't know your name. She's got, is that a brown suit on? Come on up. What's your name and what part of the state are you from? Okay. Cool. You know, when I was in Honduras, the kids there gave me the nickname Señor Ciencia. So back in 2010, they called me Mr. Science, and it's stuck since then. So thanks to the Honduran kids, I would go into their communities, and they would always be like, Señor Ciencia, doing cool science. So we have this gigantic pile of styrofoam cups, so bad for the environment. It's taller than us now when we add it to the table. We're going to scoot some things around here to make sure we're right in the middle of the table. Oh, here's that water we're going to put above someone's head here in a few minutes. You think somebody's going to get wet? Hopefully not. We'll place this right in the middle, and what you're going to do is I'm going to put these in here, and you're going to just hold the side and push down on it, okay? Are you ready? So go. Just push down on it. Take a closer look. You'll actually notice, no, not too much. We don't want it to splash onto the monitors. But you'll notice how it's dissolving. See how it's breaking apart? It's keep pushing down, keep pushing down. It's dissolving those styrofoam cups. So if you can use a paper cup instead, please do so, because that's a little bit better for the environment. It'll take less than 500 years to break down. You will notice how it's dissolving these quickly. Keep pushing down. Try not to get your fingernails in there, or all that fingernail polish is going to disappear. Yeah, nice science experiment you probably didn't expect. So it's getting smaller and smaller. Those 60 cups are going down to less and less and less and less, and it creates a big globular mess that's in there. So while it's breaking down the matter into smaller pieces, if you will, it's still there. And it's not as tall at this point, is it? Yeah. Does it smell unique, or is that just my armpits? No, I'm joking. Keep pushing, keep pushing. I work with too many kids, don't I? There we go. Keep pushing it down, and all of those are dissolving. They're breaking down into smaller pieces, and there it goes right there. Interesting. It was pretty quick, wasn't it? Okay, you can just let it go there, and I'll take it from here since I don't have fingernail polish on. Thank you. Thank you. Give her a hand of applause. And it does create this goopy, globular mess. As you can see, as I pick it up, it's very slimy. Yeah, very, very slimy. If you take this out, it will actually harden and form into plastic. So I guess you could do some art with it, and we could go from stem to steam, right? So far, 2 unique science experiments. I want to move on to how much trash you and I create each and every day. On average in America, we create about 5 pounds of trash. The goal is to recycle that, reduce, reuse, recycle, so that we don't have it in our landfills. As you know, for the longest time, I lived in an area of the state where we had lots of sinkholes. And guess what everybody used to do into those sinkholes? We would throw our old refrigerator, we would throw our car in there, we would throw everything in there. And what we learned is that, wow, this ends up in our streams, doesn't it? So we've had a gigantic effort to make sure that we stop throwing stuff in the sinkholes. It doesn't go to nowhere, it goes to somewhere, and it harms the environment. So there has been a gigantic effort to make sure that we clean up those sinkholes there in south central Kentucky. I have some trash here. It's all round up pretty on some streamers, and I need 2 helpers. And my 2 helpers are going to help me rapidly unroll this trash. This is part of the 5 pounds of trash that you're going to utilize and throw in the dump each and every day. Let's see, whom do I select? Let's see who's trying to hide the most. How about this guy right here? Come on up. What'd you have for lunch? Was it good today? Yeah. What was it? Fish? Cool. Go ahead and go. Well, how about you just bring a friend, Mr. Eric?
All right.
Pick a friend, any friend. Bring them up here. Oh, yes. Come on up. So what we're going to do is we're going to rapidly enroll this. This is probably one of the most requested Hooked on Science experiments at schools that I visit across our state. It's going to rapidly enroll through the air. We're going to contribute to the trash that we all throw in the landfill each and every day. Where are you from? What part of the state?
Louisville.
Louisville. How about you, ma'am?
Michigan right now.
Michigan right now. Were you in Kentucky at one time?
No.
No? Okay. You got to move here. It's a good state. Should be.
I've been here once.
Once? Just once? Yeah. Now, the eastern part of the state, the leaves are, well, even here they're changing. It's beautiful. Been to every waterfall in the state. It's pretty cool. Have you been to any waterfalls? No. You got to go check out Yahoo Falls. Anybody near Yahoo Falls out there? It's our largest waterfall in our state. And in the winter months, if it stays cold for a long period of time, it'll start to freeze from the bottom up. And you'll have a giant, what looks like a chimney going up. You hold this side. You hold this side over here. Now be careful. The last person who did this caught on fire. Okay. Screwed up just a little bit. There we go. So I got to rapidly enroll all of these streamers through the air. I guess I could blow my breath on it. You think that's going to work?
No.
You don't think so? You don't think my breath's powerful enough? No, it doesn't do anything. So what I got to use is I grabbed my hair dryer before I left this morning. This leaf blower over here. It blow dries your hair really good. What is it? Category 1 hurricane right here as the air comes out? Oh. Don't?
No, you
Oh, I can? There we go. Your hair looks even more beautiful. Hold on. Oh, no, I forgot the back part. Oh, there we go. Okay. I could do like I do my kids and add some slobber to it and lay it down if you'd like. No, you don't need any science
okay, I
guy
did that
slobber?
this morning.
Okay, good. Your hair still looks beautiful, by the way. So we're going to take this leaf blower, Category 1 hurricane right here, and it's going to rapidly enroll this entire, or these rolls of streamers through the air. We're going to try to launch them into the ceiling. Try not to get them into the light because we don't need to cause fire. But either way it goes, it's going to be pretty fun. Are you ready? Are you sure about this? Just hang on tight. I don't want to blow you away. Okay, got it? Oops, this table really got hit over here. Try not to eat the streamers. They don't taste so good.
Fall colors.
Yes, fall colors. It was on purpose, right? You may let go. Thank you so much. Give them a hand of applause. They did a fantastic job as we just added to the trash that we all throw in the landfills each and every day, all across our state and all across the United States and the world. So 5 pounds of trash on average. As you know, some people might create more trash than others, but either way it goes, we create a lot of trash and we got to become better stewards of the environment, not only here in Kentucky, but wherever we go. Okay, so 50 years of the Clean Water Act, right? I have a bottle of clean water. Now, water has been around forever. I mean, the water you're drinking today was around during dinosaur times. And thanks to something called the water cycle, which we start mastering in kindergarten and 3rd grade in Kentucky, we are able to reuse the water that we've had on Earth from the beginning. It rains on Earth, it fills up the streams, the sun slurps it up or it evaporates, it goes from a liquid to a gas, and it condensates and goes back to a liquid, and we get precipitation like we had this morning. Did anybody see snowflakes this morning? Nobody saw snowflakes? Got some videos of it, especially southeast of Lexington, down toward Berea into Somerset, Pulaski counties. They got a little dusting of snow, actually, in some of those locations wherever they got the stronger snow, little showers that move through. So if you're going to do this at home, and I encourage even adults to do science, because here's the deal. We know a kid gets science not because they master the state assessment, not because they make a 100 on a science test. I could care less what you can do on a test. My question to you is, how do I know you mastered something? You teach someone else. If you can teach someone else the concepts that I'm teaching you, then you've mastered it. So that's why I encourage kids to take science beyond the classroom window. It doesn't have to happen just in the classroom, but I want to teach you, and I want you to go teach someone else and be able to explain it in a way that everybody can understand. That's how I know you've mastered a concept, not because you memorized something. Anybody can memorize anything, but can you apply it to the world around you? So I have a bottle that's a strong bottle. It's a Gatorade bottle, plastic again. And this Gatorade bottle is very important because it's strong. Because if I were to squeeze the sides of a weak water bottle like those, we would not have balanced forces on the ping pong ball, and this lady here is going to get wet. They've decided to use her. So I have my bottle here. You could use a Gatorade bottle, you could use a Powerade bottle, you could use a juice bottle. I don't want to be biased toward one company. Whatever company has a strong bottle, grab it. And then you've got to overfill it with recycled toilet water, okay? Yeah, even in your water bottles. It's been in someone's toilet before. We're going to overfill it just like this. See the bubble on top? That's important that we have that little bubble on top. This is all about balanced and unbalanced forces. In Kentucky in elementary school, we learn about forces in kindergarten and third grade. We learn at an early age that it's harder to push the couch when we're in our diapers versus the kitchen chair. And that's really the second law of motion, force equals mass times acceleration. We want balanced forces to act on this ping pong ball so that she does not get wet. Anybody know this lady? Yeah. No, nobody's, yeah, should I get her wet? Now I can tell you this. What was I? I was on the Today Show, and it didn't work too well on live television. So somebody got wet. But it doesn't always work the first time or the second time. How long did it take you to fix your beautiful hair today? 5 minutes? Okay, so we're good if it gets sopping wet. Okay, good. Okay, so I got to be strategic about this, because if that bubble is not there, and since my hand's kind of wobbly, then you are going to get wet. Because not only is this about balanced forces are acting on me, now unbalanced forces are acting on me. So we want gravity to pull down equally everywhere. We want air, which is an invisible force, to push onto it. Gravity and the water to push down equally. What I'm going to do is take my ping pong ball. It's not a golf ball, but a ping pong ball. And I'm going to smack it on top. You got to have that little bit of water. Then what we're going to do is turn it upside down above her head. And then she gets to pick someone to do it after that. So who's laughing at her today? Do you have someone that you want to pick already in mind? You be thinking about it, okay? Yes. So all about balance and unbalanced forces. So important that we have clean water all across our state. And, you know, some of the factors that contributed to the unclean water was what we were throwing in all of those sinkholes that was really polluting and so on. And we have linked a lot of that water and how it goes underground in south central Kentucky through Lost River Cave, as well as Mammoth Cave and many other cave systems in that part of our state. Okay, here we go. Cross my fingers here. Why are you stepping back, Ken? Did you see that, Bob?
I did, but I trust 1 centimeter.
Okay, and that's important, right? How about you, James? What's up? No? He's not laughing? Okay, so we're going to turn. You don't have a phone on you just in case. Okay, good. Okay, here we go. We're going to slow. Sorry. Yeah. Cross my fingers. Let's hope the science works here. Okay, and there we go. Oh my gosh. Give her a hand of applause. We have balanced forces acting on the ping pong ball. We have gravity pulling down, the clean water in the bottle that was around during dinosaur times pushing down. We have an invisible force in addition to gravity, which is invisible. We can't see it. Yeah, don't trip me because we don't want this lady to get wet here. Although we'll put it above your head. All of these forces equal net zero. They're all balanced onto the ping pong ball, which allows me to take and put the ping pong ball on there and without, should I squeeze the sides above his head? What do you think, Rebecca? You know him? No? He just sat down and ate with you? Yeah? Go over here. Notice how a little bit of suction is taking place too. Okay, a little bit of suction, but a lot of balance forces. I'll try to stay away from the computer there, sir. Don't want to get it wet today, especially since you're taking some good notes about hooked on science there. Continue to walk around, squeeze above her head. What do you think? Wendy said to do it. No? Okay, so it's your turn. Where'd you go? Whom did you pick to do this? Who do you want to turn this upside down above their head? Him or her? Whom? James? Okay, who's James? Which one's James? So James, what's the deal with you? Why is she picking you? Why is she picking on you, dude? Lucky guy. So what do you do? Where do you live? What part of the state?
So I live in Frankfurt. I'm a biologist with the water.
What kind of ologist?
Environmental.
Environmentalologist. Okay, cool.
I'm not Microsoft right
Cool. Awesome. So you don't mind her pouring some good old Kentucky water on your head? Okay, so you trust it. Okay, I'm going to pour more in there, create that bubble on top. We need some suction to take place, and we need to be able to make sure you go slow. Okay?
Okay.
Try not to squeeze the sides of it. Okay, we're going to go over here.
Or not.
He's moving his winter coat. He doesn't trust you. James, do you not trust her? Did she cause trouble or something? You got to go slow, okay? You got to go slow, 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 slow. And don't squeeze as you do it. Now, this is Kentucky water. It's clean, it's good, but you might have bushy hair tomorrow. That's it, yes. There we go. So, thank you so much. Give both of them a hand of applause. They did a fantastic job. As we were able to turn that upside down above their head, we have about 10 minutes left. I want to quickly do the fire rocket, and then we'll end on questions. So you be thinking about any kind of questions you might have for me, whether it be weather or about my travels or adventures across our state, or science or working with kids or whatever it might be. Energy, as I mentioned before, is the ability to do work. You cannot create it. You cannot destroy it. The same amount of energy that was here yesterday is here today and will be here tomorrow. But in Kentucky, we are working so hard to make sure we transform energy into clean energy and making sure we're taking care of the environment. Because, you know, Bowling Green, Kentucky is where I grew up. It's the first place that I rode a bicycle, my big wheel. Richardsville, Kentucky, there just north and east of Bowling Green is where I, accidentally, table's just disappearing. Nothing big. Grew up. I want to make sure that my kids, who are a lot older, experience what I experienced growing up. There was a little creek behind my house in Richardsville, and that's where I did some of my first science experiments, where I would hide from tornadoes. I used to be scared of tornadoes. And while I was in kindergarten, my teachers would be like, quit one and go read a book. So I would read lots of weather books and became a meteorologist. So because I was scared of something, made me become a scientist here in Kentucky. So inside of here, I have something called unicorn drool. I was spelunking in the longest cave system in the world, and that's where I found a hibernating unicorn. Oh, wait a minute, you're not kids. I can really tell you what's in here. So we have some isopropyl alcohol, and what we're going to do is create the fire triangle. For the fire triangle, you need 3 ingredients: fuel, oxygen, heat. I have fuel. This is a new bottle. We may have to do this a second time. We'll see. We're pulling in some oxygen. You'll probably remember from your social studies book when you learned about Native Americans. They would rub 2 sticks together to generate heat. They would have the wood, which would be the fuel, and then oxygen in the air. And if they worked hard enough, they would get fire, right? We're not going to rub 2 sticks together here. We don't have all day for that. So we're going to use an igniter. Inside of here, some oxygen. I'm going to act as a catalyst to try to speed up evaporation, make this go from a liquid to a gas. Fire extinguisher is here. I've only burned down 1 building. But just in case, no, and I'm joking. But the fire extinguisher is there, safe science at all times. I'm going to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. We'll transform chemical energy to light. You'll see the light. Sound, you'll hear it. Heat, you'll feel it. And we'll go from potential energy to kinetic energy right here today. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Make sure I get a lot of oxygen in there. Same thing happens in the cylinder in your car. You get the right combination of gasoline and oxygen. You get a spark from the spark plug, and it makes the cylinder go up and down, and you go down the road. If you have more of those, you go a little bit faster, or you can take off a little bit faster versus if you have less. So I'm going to shake it. Oh, that's a lot of unicorn drool. Make it go from a liquid to a gas. My arm does get a little tired. Here's what I've learned as I've traveled across Kentucky. You know, you get to the western part of the state, you encounter the Mississippi River, right? You go to the eastern part of the state, you get these tall mountains. This always works better in Paducah than it does in Hazard. It takes a lot longer to make it work. It's very interesting. I think it has to do with elevation. So I'm shaking it, making it go from a liquid to a gas. And then what we're going to do is ignite it. We'll create a fire rocket. I moved the chairs on purpose because the fireball is going to go that way towards you, sir. Just stop, drop, and roll. And then the rocket, we will convert potential energy to kinetic energy, and it should shoot that way. Nobody's over there. We don't have to worry about them. You be thinking about your questions. Anybody want to tell me their favorite place to visit in Kentucky? Their favorite place to visit. Maybe it's a hike, maybe it's the shop, whatever it is. What's your Red River Gorge is awesome. It's amazing, right? McGill's Pizza over there is one of the best places to eat pizza, and to camp. And to camp as well. I always like doing a Natural Bridge State Resort Park. The colors are pretty cool right now. Another place? Blanton Forest. Is that where they have the giant people? That's Bernheim. Sorry. I've never heard of that one. Harlan County. Okay, very close to the border there. And what's so unique about that forest? Okay, pretty cool. Another place, because not all of us have been to every corner of our great state. One more person before I ignite the fire rocket. Tell me a good place to go in Kentucky that no one's ever heard about. It's maybe your secret spot. How about this guy right here? Is it Sydney? Are you from Kentucky?
I am from Kentucky.
What part of Kentucky, sir? Hardin County.
So, being from Elizabeth County, I'm going to say Fort Knox.
Fort Knox, that's where they keep all the gold, right? Yes. Driven past that area, there's a waterfall over there as well. That's pretty cool to visit. Not too far from Elizabethtown. Okay, let's see if this thing works. And then you be thinking about some questions. I have about 6 minutes left. Okay, stop, drop, and roll if I catch on fire. Let's try this. Oh, it caught on fire a little bit. Should we put it out? There we go. That's our mini fire rocket as we converted potential energy to kinetic energy, as well as chemical energy to light, sound, heat, and motion. Any questions about what we do? So we got about 5 minutes left. Questions about weather, questions about whatever. You know, for the longest time, weather over a long period of time is called climate. And before I could say that the average high on this date is 32, just saying, I would have to have 30 years of data. But because of climate change, we have reduced that down to 15 years because of the rapid change that we continue to see, the warming here on Earth. And it is causing lots of different wild weather, whether it be an early snow in October or, for that matter, massive hurricanes that continue to impact our Gulf states, and then we continue to see sometimes the wind from those hurricanes impact Kentucky, and so on. Intense snows, as well as flooding in the eastern part of the state, wild tornadoes in the western part of the state, and so on. Any questions from anyone out there that might have any? Any at all? Yes, sir.
What does the school need to do to get you to come and do the presentation? And what's the target age group?
So I visit kindergarten through 12th grade, but 90% of that is K through 6th grade. And they can go to hookedonscience.org. So if you go to hookedonscience.org, just click on Contact Us or more information, and I can let you know when my schedule is available. I used to do Hooked on Science full-time, but had some unique things go on in life. My dad was in the hospital for a long time there in South Central Kentucky. Needed a new start, so came to Lexington, and this is where I do weather full-time now and Hooked on Science 2 days a week. So we'll see what happens in a couple of years. Maybe I'll go back to traveling. I'll be traveling to Sandusky at the end of this week, doing some cool science there, and I go all over the United States and the Ohio Valley, in addition to, you know, the Commonwealth here and across the Bluegrass. But hookedonscience.org is where they can go and just send me an email. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes? Right?
Do meteorologists, special meteorologists, also make use of that data that we are collecting in our own backyard?
I do, especially when it comes to collecting data in a specific area that I'm forecasting the weather. So if it's right here in central and eastern Kentucky to where I'm forecasting the weather for WKYT, or if it's in Western Kentucky for WPSD or KFES 12, or Henderson for EHT, or FIE, or Bowling Green, WBKO, or NKY. We will use different kinds of data. I will tell you that we do use the Kentucky Mesonet, which is funded by the state and powers weather stations across the state that give us accurate data so that we don't just have to rely on the ASOL station there at the airport, at each and every airport across the area. We get more eyes, more data, helps us predict more, puts another data point, and as you know, the more data you have, the more accurate it is. You want more data, more data, more data. We are driven by data. That's our life, because the more data we have, the more information and sound analysis and decisions that we can make. Okay, another question? Yes, sir.
So my question's about the flood.
Uh-huh.
So the National Weather Service said that, my question is about. Can you hear me? There we go.
Yes.
So the National Weather Service put the precipitation that happened for the 4 days around the flood at like less than a 1% chance in 1,000.
Right.
So we get this term, the 1,000-year flood,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is powerful at capturing how unprecedented historically
Correct.
the flood event was. But I worry that looking ahead, you know, those events aren't going to be as statistically rare because of a changing climate. So my question is, what data is that one in less than 1,000% chance that the National Weather Service put together? What data is that based on? And is it updated for like the latest changes we have?
It all
in the climate?
depends on what area, because there's different parts of the state where they've been collecting data longer than others. So for Louisville and Lexington, two largest states in our region, and I'm very frustrated that Lexington doesn't have its National Weather Service because sometimes they forget to issue warnings here out of Louisville, because Louisville covers our National Weather Service. That's our National Weather Service for Lexington. And the Doppler radars do not really cover this area either, and leaves out information. And when there's tornado warnings, we can't issue those. We can't issue a warning on television. It's actually a legal issue. The only people who are allowed to issue a warning are the National Weather Service. They issue it, then we go on the air. But I can say on TV, this storm has the potential of creating a tornado, but I cannot issue my own tornado warning. But National Weather Services across the United States, or for that matter across Kentucky, have different sets of data. Some of it goes back to the 1800s. Some of it goes back to the little shops that they would use to, you know, make your, on the squares, like in Bowling Green, I remember they found a lot of weather data at one of the drugstores there where they would make your milkshake and so on. So we're using that data. I'm not lucid on what data they use specifically for that part of the state. That was Hazard in that area and west of there in those mountain towns there to where they received more than 11 inches of rain within a small period of time. But I would say at least it goes back to the early 1900s that they would base that data on.
In general, does the National Weather Service have a policy for like do they use all of the data that they have, or do they say, hey, we're only going to use the past 50 years now because the conditions are different than they were 100 years ago?
Right. It just depends on. We try to use, as I said, more data better, but then we just have to take into consideration that the data is more important nowadays with the changing climate than it was 60 years ago or 100 years ago. So it's all about having to analyze everything as a whole to see what happened, not just one single event. Does that make sense? Yeah. My time is up. I thank you for taking time out of your lunch to have some fun. Don't forget to go like the pages on Facebook and Twitter. I hope you have a safe and happy rest of the conference. Keep safe and well, okay?